The 6-month, multi-million-dollar project is now complete, and a new era of racing in Atlanta is about to begin. Hello again, everyone. I am Zach Klein here at the all-new Atlanta Motor Speedway, and over the next 30 minutes, we're going to take a deep dive into the construction of this revamped racetrack. Plus, we're going to look ahead to see what you can expect to see when NASCAR's best come to the ATL for the first time to take on this new track on March 20th. But first, let's take a look at what's changed at this historic speedway. With the reconfiguration, it retains the quad oval shape that was implemented back in 1997, but the paved area for the front stretch has been widened significantly. The biggest changes, however, are in the turns of this 1.54-mile speedway. You know, when they first built this place back in 1960, the corners boasted 24 degrees of banking, and that's the way they stayed until now. These high banks are even steeper with a whopping 28 degrees of banking. Now, that may not sound like it's a big deal, but the difference is huge. And with these steeper corners, they're sure to put on a huge show when the drivers come here. Race fans in Atlanta Motor Speedway are going to see something they have never experienced before. Now, that was the goal for the team at Speedway Motorsports when making plans for the all-new Atlanta Motor Speedway, to create another new, one-of-a-kind experience to the NASCAR circuit. As plans were made, Speedway officials made use of the motorsports simulator iRacing. Using this tool, officials were able to visualize, fine-tune, and even get an idea of what racing could look like on the next generation of Atlanta Motor Speedway, all before a single shovel of dirt was moved. With the specs for the new track finalized, crews wasted no time getting the work started. Within minutes of Kurt Busch taking the checkered flag in the Quaker State 400 presented by Walmart, hundreds of pieces of foam that are installed as part of the safer barrier around the track were removed. Just days later, all the steel barriers lining the track were meticulously taken off the wall and off the banking. On July 19th, heavy equipment started the process of ripping up Atlanta's old asphalt. While flat portions of the track were milled, a bulldozer was used to remove the pavement on Atlanta's high banks, going all the way down to the subgrade so the turns could be molded into their new shape. As bulldozer blades carved into Atlanta's turns to make them steeper, every bit of dirt that was pushed away left a base that would be the foundation of the new track. Now, to ensure it all went to plan, the Speedway called on the expertise of a man who was no stranger to working on Atlanta's high banks.
Meet Tony Harper.
I'm the owner of Line and Grade Incorporated.
You may not know him, but you probably know his work. For the last 20-plus years, Harper has played a key role in the development of several NASCAR tracks.
Well, we worked at Daytona, Talladega, Las Vegas, Martinsville, Charlotte, Kansas, Texas. These are probably named the ones we hadn't worked at.
While big machinery ripping up asphalt and carving into an embankment is eye-catching, Harper's more modest-looking work makes sure each step ends precisely the way it was intended to.
Anything they build, they have to know how far to dig down, how wide to make it, so we give them controls for that. We'll set this down and put a paint dot and say cut 2 feet and go over to that line and stop. So we show them how to build it.
That's exactly what Harper's doing right now at Atlanta Motor Speedway. With his handheld computer and notepad, he's meticulously checking and rechecking measurements around the track as the all-new 28-degree bank speedway takes shape.
They remove the pavement and take it down to what we call subgrade, which is dirt grade. Then it gets checked. Then the next layer is to put stone base on top of the dirt. When it gets in, it gets checked. And then you got your asphalt lifts on top of that, and each one of them gets checked.
But this isn't Harper's first time working on Atlanta Motor Speedway. In fact, this year's project at AMS is a return to where it all began for Harper. The 1997 reconfiguration of the Speedway was his first job at a NASCAR track.
It was pretty wild. I started out working on the grandstands, and originally this was a true oval. And so they were going to cut the track over here, cut the track back there, and just put the dog leg in it and leave the old track in place. But then as they got on into the job more, they decided, well, we'd really like to make it all new. So they asked me if I wanted to take on designing a best fit grade for the rest of it and take the thing over. So I said, yeah, and here we are.
Of course, some things have changed in the last 24 years.
Feels like it's a little harder to get around.
Not the least of which are the tools used to get the job done.
The technology is substantially different. See, all the equipment on this job is being run with what they call machine control. So it's locked into GPS signal and one of these handheld calculators, computer actually, that has all the job parameters. And it radio communicates with the equipment and tells the blade what to do to get to grade. So it saves a lot of time.
That's enabled the crews working on the next generation of AMS to make speedy progress, with the corners of the Speedway already starting to be molded into their new 28-degree bank configuration. Still, several months of work and countless calculations from Harper remain to complete the new Atlanta Motor Speedway.
I'm fortunate to have the opportunity to get to do this thing twice. We're going to give it everything we got to make this the best one in the circuit.
Harper was involved in nearly every step of the 6-month-long process, reconfiguring and repaving Atlanta Motor Speedway. And his work didn't end when the paving was complete. No, his precise measurements were used to paint markings on the track as well. Coming up, NASCAR drivers share their first impressions of the new Atlanta Motor Speedway. But first, what it takes to pave on Atlanta's massive 28-degree banking. Stay with us. As you might imagine, paving a racetrack is no ordinary task, right? Throughout the paving process, more than 17,000 tons of material were mixed together at an asphalt plant in Stockbridge, Georgia. The ingredients, from the stone mix to the liquid asphalt holding them together, were tailored for use at the Speedway. It was a challenge to make and move all of the material. It was nearly nonstop over the course of several months.
Our business is very labor intensive, and we rely on a lot of different components, whether it be the liquid supplier, the liquid hauling, the truckers that are getting the material here to the yard, the plant personnel, the truckers getting the material back to the track, and then the paving operation itself. Everything has to work smoothly, and you know, if one breaks, then the whole system shut down.
Things only became more difficult once the new asphalt arrived at the track. Some days started shortly after the break of dawn and ended under the lights that ring Atlanta Motor Speedway. Now, day or night, paving on Atlanta's new 28-degree banking proved to be the steepest challenge.
Atlanta Motor Speedway's old asphalt has been ripped up, and the turns have been regraded. Now the track just needs to be topped with some fresh asphalt. Simple, right?
It is not simple, I promise you that. It looks easy, but it is not a simple process for sure. But it's what we do.
That's John Rower of Sunmount Paving. Over the last 25 years, he's helped pave several racetracks across the country. Right now, his crew is working diligently to pave all around Atlanta's 1.54-mile oval, including its steep corners.
You're using equipment that is built for flat ground, and we're trying to stick it on 28 degrees. So again, there's a lot of physics, a lot of trial and error. There's some engineering to it, but mostly trial and error.
Atlanta Motor Speedway's new 28-degree banked corners have amplified many of those challenges, forcing some quick thinking and adjustments to keep the project moving forward.
We fabricate something almost every week to help us and come up with new ways to make it better, make it easier. For one example, the hook point on the paver, It totally didn't work.
We had to make some modifications to the equipment because it wasn't holding the paver up there. The paver wanted to keep coming down the slopes.
We moved it 9 inches and that fixed it. So it's just a small 9 inches.
Thanks to speedy solutions like that, paving is well underway. All told, about 17,000 tons of material will be used to bring the all-new Atlanta Motor Speedway to life.
It's really satisfying to see asphalt going on the top groove. From here, things get easier naturally. Now we're worried about making sure everything's smooth, that the grades are right, that we're getting a good ride for the competition coming in March.
Playing a key role in making that happen is something that Rauer and his crew take pride in.
I always tell everybody when I get off one of these projects and I go to flat paving, it's kind of boring. The best days out here is the first day and the last day. And when you're done, and it's satisfying. You go home, you come back here and watch it. You watch it on TV, you know you took part in the process.
Especially considering the end result will be a spectacle unlike any other.
Well, that's the one thing we were trying to achieve that Marcus was really driven to us is we knew we had to repave Atlanta. How do we make it unique to the whole circuit? How do we make it its own racetrack, not what was established as a cookie cutter mile and a half? Looking at what we've accomplished and what we've tried to do and what he sees us to do, we've definitely made it unique. So the fans need to see this because it's going to be something they've not seen on any racetrack. There's not another racetrack out there like it. So it's something that you got to see.
Several layers of asphalt were put down during the paving process, with the first truckloads of the material put down on the track on October 15th. More than 2 months later, crews celebrated with fireworks as the final strip of asphalt on the apron of the racetrack was complete. Coming up, folks, a closer look at some technology hidden beneath Atlanta's surface. And NASCAR drivers take their first laps on the new track. And welcome back. A lot has changed at Atlanta Motor Speedway, much of which is apparent to NASCAR drivers and fans alike. But some new additions are hidden beneath the surface.
Paving a racetrack, particularly one as steeply banked as the all-new Atlanta Motor Speedway, is no small undertaking.
A lot of technology's gone into how and what we do to place it. Making sure our densities are correct or old school things they do on highway pavement. But anytime that you're putting machinery on 28 degrees, it's not meant to be there. So there's a lot of technology that goes into that to make sure the engineering's right and the angles are right and you're getting the proper compaction and you've got your weight distribution correct.
While that process is a challenge, it's also a massive opportunity to improve the track from top to bottom. While many will notice the steeper, freshly paved banking, the new AMS also has some new features hidden beneath the surface.
In the last 5 years, we've looked at, how do we take care of groundwater? Naturally, we've had races that's been postponed because of weepers. We looked at different technology of the asphalt and what you do.
To mitigate these issues, the AMS project called for installation of a new drainage system all around the track and paired it with this, an open drainage layer, or ODL.
Let's see how this works here. Let's see how it does.
This porous layer of asphalt is designed to better absorb groundwater.
It's absorbing every bit of water that I just put on it.
And lead it to the new drainage system, away from the racing surface.
The bottom line for our race fans is more time on track, less downtime. So if in the unfortunate circumstance we do get some type of weather, this ODL layer is going to quickly absorb the water as it hits the track, take it down to that drainage system, which ultimately means we get back to racing quicker.
The benefits aren't limited to just race day.
As you see, it's a large investment for our company to put this in. We want to make sure it lasts as long as it possibly can.
Left unchecked, moisture will degrade an asphalt surface and limit its lifespan.
Which is a big thing that you see on the highways and whatnot when you see potholes on your everyday drive and you see that they got to replace asphalt. It's usually because of water and wear and tear.
To extend the life of Atlanta's old racing surface, the Speedway's operations department had to work vigorously to limit the amount of moisture below the surface. Going forward with the new ODL, they'll have a partner built into the track, removing excess water day after day and year after year.
It's not going to stay in the track. It's not going to stay in the creases of the track. If it's cold, if it's hot, it's not going to expand. It's not going to contract, which again means longer lifespan for our racing surface.
With the ODL or the drainable mat that you see being placed, that takes care of any of that groundwater that comes up, so we don't have weepers in the future. And 10 years, 20 years down the road, that groundwater's got somewhere to get out.
With the water taken care of, the focus can stay on what we all enjoy, the racing.
This new design for Atlanta Motor Speedway, this reprofile, is going to provide an entertaining racing package that no one in NASCAR has ever seen before. Never before has 28 degrees been on an intermediate track. We're about creating memories, we're about providing entertainment for our fans, and we know that this new Atlanta Motor Speedway is going to do just that.
Up next, NASCAR stars hit the track for the first time during testing at the new Atlanta Motor Speedway. Their thoughts on the new track and what they expect in the first race on March 20th.
It's not even something where you're trying to compare it. It's starting over. It's a brand new racetrack, and we're making notes and starting from a blank sheet.
NASCAR drivers experienced the new Atlanta Motor Speedway during a test to prepare for the Folds of Honor Quick Trip 500 on March 20th. They shared with us their thoughts on the new track and their expectations for the upcoming race.
When the first week of the new year arrived and brought with it the first opportunity for NASCAR drivers to take laps on the newly revamped and reimagined Atlanta Motor Speedway, it didn't take long for everyone involved to reach a consensus. This isn't your grandpa's AMS.
Yeah, there's a ton of new here, so it's probably not even fair to go comparing to the old Atlanta at this point. There's just so many variables in it.
I'm that brain emoji where my brain's blowing off, right? There's a lot to digest. It's an engineering marvel to bank a racetrack with this much banking and keep the turns this sharp and to have it as smooth as it is.
Throughout the week, drivers participating in the Goodyear tire test circuited AMS hundreds of times to help identify the best tire combination for the all-new, steeper Atlanta and NASCAR's next-gen race cars.
Goodyear has brought a control tire and then different options, whether that be softer compounds, whether that be different staggers. That's something I've been working on a lot with this new car. The rear independent suspension, the transaxle, everything has really changed a lot of that feel. I think some of the low profile tire has changed it as well. All the cars, one from each manufacturer here, to go through all the same tires, all the same tests, so we can take all that data, put it together.
While the hours spent on track helps Goodyear with its task, it also gives these select drivers an opportunity to get up to speed on the all-new Atlanta before their fellow competitors.
I don't think that every driver in the series was signing up to do this tire test, but I was, and I was excited, and I wanted to come learn and see it for myself, walk the track, feel it in the race car, and see what do we need to do when we come back here. We're going to race here twice, and what do we need to do?
Kurt Busch, a four-time winner at Atlanta, including the final race on the previous configuration last July, was immediately struck by the new characteristics of the nearly 62-year-old Speedway.
It was exciting to go out on track and be in a different environment, but yet here at Atlanta Motor Speedway. It's completely changed with the banking, the fresh asphalt. It's a clean slate, and the next-gen car is a clean slate. And so yesterday was a big day with just excitement and anticipation of how the track would drive and how it would feel.
After getting valuable track time, drivers expect a style of racing that Atlanta Motor Speedway has never seen before.
Once we got out there in a group, the pace picked up by over a second with having the cars draft together. So there's a lot of speed that you have by yourself, and then things were amplified way more than what we expected when we had just 3 cars drafting with each other.
With their cars gaining speed and staying close together while drafting during the test, drivers anticipate racing at the all-new AMS will resemble the likes of Daytona and Talladega, while still being unique to Atlanta.
In NASCAR, we have our Daytona and Talladega style draft, and those are on 2.5, 2.66 mile tracks. This is 1.5 miles. Things are going to be moving quicker. You're going to be digesting things much faster, and you're going to have that Daytona Talladega style feel here at 1.5 miles.
The corners are so much sharper, you're going to have your car handling well. It's going to be maybe like Daytona before they repaved it. Guys had to have good handling cars as well as a super speedway car that will draft good. You're going to have a combination of that here. You're going to have a lot of friends, and I probably need to get to work on that because I don't know if I have that many.
The bottom line for NASCAR fans, the 2022 races at Atlanta Motor Speedway are can't-miss events.
2 wide will be no problem. The 3 wide, yeah, you'll have that when you have the right opportunity with hot tires, the grip level, and when people are more comfortable with their setups. So it's just going to ramp up and get more and more aggressive as we get more and more laps on track.
I think it's going to be a lot of fun coming back for the race. Really, I am looking forward to it, and I think they did a good job with the ideas that they've implemented to create a really exciting race weekend.
Following the tests in Atlanta, NASCAR confirmed that teams will race super speedway spec cars at Atlanta Motor Speedway in 2022. The same style of car that race at Daytona and Talladega. As you heard, the drivers say that will result in a larger emphasis on drafting and create tighter, more intense racing than we've ever seen here in Atlanta Motor Speedway. You put it all together, and this place is going to host 2 can't-miss NASCAR weekends. First, with the debut of this new track during the March 18th, the 20th weekend, the Folds of Honor Quick Trip 500, and back again in the summer for the Quaker State 400 presented by Walmart. It's the weekend July 8th to the 10th. Tickets to these races start at just $39. Kids 12 and under, you're just $10 to get in, and don't miss out. Head to AtlantaMotorspeedway.com today to get your tickets and catch the new thrills and all the new action at Atlanta Motor Speedway in 2022. Thank you so much, folks, for joining us here for this inside look at the all-new Atlanta Motor Speedway. We'll see you at the track.